or two characteristics common to all kinds of things which are called performance. If you want to know what is a performing art and what is perhaps not a performing art, then again the Natya Shastra gives us a definition, and it is there. Drishyam cha yat shravyam bhavet. Something which can be seen and something which can be heard. So when these two senses together enjoy a particular art form, then that art form is the art of performance, that is natya, and that is drishya and shravya. It is not just heard. Music is just heard. So Maharaj Puram Santhanam singing something wonderful. You may see him, you may not see him. You may just listen to a CD, close your eyes. Sometimes musicians make such gestures that you better close your eyes. And you know our famous North Indian singer Bhimsen Joshi, I very often used to close my eyes and enjoy his music. Of course, he was a great, great musician. You can just listen to music. Or you can just see a painting. Or you just see sculpture. Or you listen to poetry being recited. Somebody reciting some good poem which you like, modern poem of any language or ancient poem, whatever. But when you see an art form and you hear that art form at the same time, then it is natya. This is the broad definition. Don't think that natya is only something classical, that it is only Bharatnatyam, that it is something from ancient times. No, we are talking here of primary definitions. Cinema is covered in this, although it is a very recent genre according to a 100 and some years old technology. And what you see on the computer is also about 25 years old technology. And there will be new technologies which will create new art forms, but as long as there is something to be seen and heard at the same time, and it is an art form, then it is natya. It has to be an art form. Please don't come round and tell me is a reality show which is seen and heard also natya. I am sorry, it is not. We'll come to what is not natya, what is not performance, what is not art. And the Natya Shastra very clearly tells us right in the beginning. But for the time being, note that performance means something which is seen and heard at the same time. It is not restricted, as I just told you, to a classical art form or something which is fixed in time, something which is ancient or medieval, like the Ras in Vrindavan or the ancient plays of Kalidas or even the 19th. No. It is constantly under new creation. There were art forms or genres up to 10th century, then some new ones came, then others came into existence like Kudiyattam, etc., and Ramattam, Krishnattam, various dance forms, and still they are being evolved and created by the performers, but as long as it is seen and heard. So, the Shastra provides you a wide ambit. It does not provide you a closure. It doesn't say this much and nothing more. It doesn't say, I have drawn this circle and here it is. Nothing will be admitted to it. No. Because the Shastra is basically meant to give you some primary definitions. Most of us think that these definitions are outdated, About 10 years ago, there was a movement in New Delhi, Delhi imports movements and then, sends them to rest of the country. So there was a movement of indigenization, and they said, oh, no, let's come to what is contemporary. The ancient classical terminology like rasa and this and that, they are very outdated. And about 3 years ago, I attended a conference in Bombay at the famous NCPL, and I heard similar things, that in music, Vadi, Samvadi and Gram and Murchana, Shruti are now outdated. Now what we do is, we really don't see that these definitions were made to be inclusive, to allow new art forms to come in. As we'll go along, you will meet plenty of these definitions. Natya Shastra is full of them, Natya Shastra consists of them, Natya Shastra is meant for them. Because it is meant for you, it is meant for dance, it is meant for poetry, literature, painting, music, everything. All right. Now, this book, this revered book, this sacred book, has 36 chapters. And we'll go through quickly all 36 chapters. We will concentrate on some chapters because the audience here is more interested in some chapters. Every discourse should be according to the needs of the audience. So, because you are primarily dancers, we will concentrate more on those chapters which are related to dance, dance-related performance, etc. But we will see the totality of the 36 chapters, because this is not a Shastra just of the dancers. It is not a Shastra just of the poets. People from literary background, they only read the 6th and the 7th chapter, Rasadhyaya. So if you go to Banaras, BHU, where the great Pandits will talk about philosophy and Sahitya, then Natya Shastra is more or less 6, 7 chapters. Of course, there are some very enlightened people who know the whole of it. Or, if you talk to dancers, then they'll say the 4th chapter, Karanadhyaya, 108 Karanas, etc. And a few other things, Charis, etc., 8th, 9th, 10th. If you talk to the musicians, then they would say, yes, I have heard that there is a chapter 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, which are on music. So, if you talk to theater people, they'll tell you, well, we have heard about something called Natya Shastra. It is taught at National School of Drama by a very queer person, visiting professor called Bharat Gupt. But we don't apply it anymore. We do a realistic art form of theater. 19th century onwards, theater changed, the audience changed. The urban audience is one kind of audience, which are largely following in theater European styles of productions, and the other kind is the traditional art form Kudiyattam, Jatra, Bhavai, etc. So Indian theatre is split into very traditional and very modern. And except for the traditional, there is no connection with the natyas. That is the very reason I want you to see the totality of it. Because unless you see the total, you will not be able to place either your poetry or your dance or your music in it. So the important thing is to see the totality of Natya Shastra, the whole vision, and to see where is literature in it, where is poetry in it, where is dance in it, and how all of them are not just interrelated, but are capable of renewing each other. After all, they could have made 4 Shastras out of it. And of course there are, later on. Later on there are texts which concentrate just on music. Sangeet Samay Sar. Largely on music with some references to dance, etc. Or Sangeet Ratnakar, which of course has more or less the whole tradition of Natyas in it. Or then very specific works, Brihaddeshi, which are only on music. But when this work was created, all of these were together for a certain purpose. All right, now we begin with what is the first chapter.